Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorraine County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Welcome to this year's leap year meeting, Wednesday, February 29th. Commissioner Lori Kukowski has the dog. It looks like it's a little fur ball.
It is a little fur ball.
And it says the Pledge of Allegiance. Lori.
Yeah, it's a patriotic dog, says the Pledge of Allegiance. If you heard her in the background, she's really cute. She's about 1 or 2 years old. She will be available on Saturday after 3 o'clock if you want to come down to our Lorraine County Dog Kennel and pick her up. Jack, how many pet dogs do we have at our kennel right now?
Yeah, 34.
He's 34 dogs, so there's plenty to pick from. So come down, check us out on our website. But it's an inexpensive way to bring another family member into your home. And she's really cute. Look at her face. Aww. Madam Clerk?
At 11:15, we'll have our first public hearing on CDBG. 11:25, a presentation by the Visitors Bureau under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the auditor, authorized conveyance fee refunding the amount of $7,524 to Chicago Title Company that was paid in Erie to the college in the year 2010.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Authorize the conveyance fee in the amount of $7,240 to Chicago Title Company that was paid in Erie by the college in 2011.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam President. I do wish to have an executive session with the board to discuss ongoing labor negotiations. One of those units would be the Children's Service Unit that has a wage reopener and some issues with regard to our contract at the 911 agency. That topic is allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session talks. I don't have a personnel sheet. I'm not sure why, so I may modify that in a bit to include some personnel actions. But so at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, I wish to have an executive session to discuss those issues with the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the Stanley County Commissioners meeting minutes of February 22nd, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Approve and enter into consulting agreement with National Benefit Programs, Inc., Columbus for scope of services to locate, monitor, negotiate, structure, review, and administer county life insurance, disability management insurance, healthcare benefits, dental, vision, prescription drug benefits, stop-loss coverage, and similar employee-type benefits effective March 1st, 2012 through February 28th, 2006.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Cordez, would you like to elaborate on number 13 for us, please?
Actually, with National Benefit Program has been our ongoing consultant with regard to our healthcare benefits for over a year. We're just now looping around back and qualifying the relationship vis-a-vis a contract. We just didn't have a contract, and this just clarifies the relationship. In fact, the last piece of work they did for us, remember, was the prescription drug program, where we apparently we're going to save about $1.5 million over 3 years on our prescription drug. We're getting ready to go into negotiations for our health care. I think it's going to be a very tough year. We need to extract some additional savings in that arena. As you know, we've had some issues with MMO that I've kept you all aware of, and strategically we're experiencing a lot of difficulty. So they're gonna be on point with us here to try to tease out some additional discounts and/or changes that don't affect our users, but that'll bring us more cost efficiencies.
Does the cost of this consultant, is that paid by the general fund, or does it come out of our health care pool?
It's all packaged into healthcare, and
Okay.
that's why, if you notice, the contract doesn't have any defined cost in it because we already have agent letters with them. But this just clarifies that they have the ability to work on our behalf in these negotiations and do the RFPs and
Okay.
things like that.
Any questions? Okay.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under Community Development, approve and enter an agreement with Neighborhood Alliance of Lorraine County in the amount of $30,000 for homeless shelter services, effective retroactive January 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2012, paid from account shelter.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve and enter an agreement with Lorraine County Office on Aging in the amount of $43,300 for consulting services and Meals on Wheels, effective retroactive January 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2012, and to be paid from senior citizen account.
It says counseling. Is it counseling or consulting?
Counseling.
Counseling, okay.
Did I say consulting?
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, I didn't know if it was an error. Okay. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Support the annual comprehensive economic development strategy update for 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Don, did you want to?
Can I start before Don does
Sure.
on this? And we do have a representative here from the college to talk about some changes we made. There was some late changes to the SEDS that reprioritized some of the projects that we were looking at because an opportunity developed very late in the game for some potential for dollars to come from the EDA to Lorraine County. And so we've been juggling this now for the last couple of weeks, and we sent off some letters. I sent the commissioners copies of those letters with regard to why we did those things and explaining to some of our partners why we felt the need to do those things and why our recommendation to this board was going to be a little different than what we originally anticipated from the SEDS meeting. And at that point, I'd like Don just to explain a little bit about that. And then hopefully we can have Tracy speak to her project for the college.
I ran into Mayor Rittenauer yesterday and explained to him that this hasn't been fully explained to us, and it will be today, but the letter had gone out ahead of that. So.
I felt compelled to tell the mayor that our recommendation as your staff was changing and give him the reasons why so that he had an opportunity to know that our recommendation, as indicated in the letter, though, the decision still rests with the Board of Commissioners with regard to what you want that priority to be. I just wanted him to have an upfront look at that.
Okay. Don?
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioners. Before you is the resolution that would adopt the Lorraine County Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. What that is a document that the county has prepared on an annual basis that has traditionally been an inventory of potential economic development projects throughout the county. And we convene a group of people, and it's open to all political subdivisions, and we get varying levels of degrees. EDA is a unit of the Department of Commerce, and similar to block grant and HUD, in order to access some of these funds, especially the public works, technical assistance, and economic adjustment, you need to be under a level of distress. Most years, that means it's pretty much either the City of Lorraine or the City of Lorraine and Elyria. On occasion, it will impact the entire county. And because it's typically a City of Lorraine or Elyria type of deal, we don't necessarily always get the participation of all of the townships and the villages and smaller municipalities. We were asked by EDA to revamp the SEDS and make it more of a true strategy. And so you'll notice that this document is much thicker than ones you've seen in the past. We spent the last 6 months reviewing the state plans, Team NEO's plans, plans that the county itself has done, and also some of the other communities around. And we're able to put together a document that really, my belief, fits Lorraine County very well. And then we had incorporated our list of inventory of projects that we had all discussed. There are two primary ones. One is Public Works, and that one is a ranking of your traditional public works. They're infrastructure projects. City of Lorraine's water tower was #1. It's been #1 on the list for 4 or 5 years now, and it's actually located out on the west side of the City of Lorraine. The other is economic adjustment. There you have the Lorraine Eagles building was included on it this year. The county has a project, a GIS program, to inventory all of our economic infrastructure in the broadest sense. And it is this document that we send down to EDA, and EDA uses it to determine what our priorities as a county are for economic development. As we were going through this, as County Administrator Cordes had mentioned, there was an opportunity that the college had discovered and worked on, and I'll let them talk about their project. But what ended up happening throughout this process was, as we learned about it, I began to work with them to determine how this would fit into the strategy, make sure that it was consistent, and it was, and also then how it would be eligible. And Tracy will be able to go in much more detail on how they were able to accomplish it. But it was a very unique opportunity, and it's one that my recommendation is deserves very heavy consideration versus the water tower, both from a concept of scope, the size of the project, and the potential impact. And also, this will be a living document. It will continue to change. We're going to be rewriting this document on an annual basis. We're going to continue to submit. EDA has changed how they accept applications now, and it's on a quarterly basis, whereas before it was first come, first serve. And so every quarter, you're going against applications that were submitted for that specific quarter. And so we will actually have an opportunity if we had enough good projects. And I'm happy to say we're beginning to get to the point where we have more than one project a year that actually makes some good, solid sense to apply for. And that's what's made this document very important.
Would you happen to have an explanation as to why the City of Lorraine's water tower has been on there so many times in first position and has not received any funding? Is it not a good match for this potential?
It's had a couple of different issues over the years. Part of it has been you need to have clean title to the land. The location is out at the IRG Ford plant, and so to be able to get the lot split was somewhat difficult and challenging because of the brownfield grant that was there, and also the restrictions that Ford had put on the land that required essentially a clean bill of health and no further action letter from Ohio EPA before any land could be let go. So that was one of the issues. That the project has been designed, it had some funding in place and was ready to go, and the real estate issue with the brownfield complication took a significant amount of time. And then after that, I can't actually say what other things have prevented it from going forward. But it hasn't been submitted for formal consideration by EDA, so I couldn't comment on whether or not it would be a good project or not. I know it's important to the city of Lorraine. I know it's important to the continued development of that area. There is an agreement in place whereby Lorraine and Vermillion have cooperated on the supply of water, so that in cases of emergency where Vermillion were to lose water pressure or use of their plant for any time, they would be able to get their water then from the city of Lorraine. That water tower is very vital to be able to allow that to occur. So it's a good project and it's an important project, but it just hasn't been able to go forward yet. And it hasn't been submitted for full consideration by EDA in quite some time.
And all cities, townships, villages are aware of this funding source and are submitting projects or not?
They should all be aware. We do annual meetings 3 times.
With regard to the townships and the unincorporated areas, we actually take care of that with them.
We do, and the county engineer also sits
Right.
in on those meetings
So,
as
so
well.
we take care of a lot of that, and we look for projects similar to what we do with CDBG out in those areas, at taking information back, and the cities are aware, and they participate in this. With regard to the water tower, it is a good project, but there hasn't been a lot of money in that end, even from EDA, with regard to sewers and water towers. They're tending to, what I'm looking at, the funding that's been coming out successfully is looking at those enhancements that create a lot of job opportunities and potentials rather than
Correct.
the public infrastructure type deals. And that may be a little bit that's inhibiting them giving a favorable look to move it to the next level of consideration.
The last water tower that was funded that I'm aware of in this region was tied directly to a U.S. Steel expansion. That was out at Johnny Wilson Park back in the 80s. I think there was also included a huge water loop that went through Sheffield Village as well.
Right, so tying it back to, continued economic development and expansion of an area that's going to potentially bring, increased jobs and utilization. And we'll be able to tie that in with Lorraine going forward as they develop the old Ford site more fully. But they just haven't felt that they're there yet, so they haven't passed it along. We need to try to find those projects, and Don did speak to the fact we're seeing better stuff come forward. We have to pick that one that we think has the best potential to bring back some dollars to the community. Otherwise, we languish and we don't get anything.
That's what I was going to be my next question. If this has been on the table for the water tower for the last, 4 cycles, does that mean that money went somewhere else and Lorraine County didn't see anything?
Well, it's a competitive grant, so the money is not set aside for Lorraine County or even for Northeast Ohio. We're in a region of a 2-state region, Ohio and Indiana, and it's highly competitive across the 2 states. But it does mean we have not submitted an application that's been funded since the last Public Works one was the Lorraine Eastside Industrial Park was a $2 million.
The Black River Landing Industrial Park, right?
It's called Riverbend now, but yes,
Riverbend.
off of Colorado, correct.
So we haven't been successful. It's not for lack of trying, but
yeah.
we need to find something that's going to gain their attention and have a different look at it. The water tower is very important, and we need to continue to consider it and work with the city of Lorraine to keep it in the SEDS and try to move it forward. But the short answer to your question is, yes, we have not submitted a project they felt worthy of the next level of consideration to bring funding here, so the funding has gone to other communities.
Okay.
It hasn't been taken from us, but it
Right.
just hasn't arrived here.
I gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
you're
Do
welcome.
we
Thank
want
you very
Tracy
much.
to come up and present her project to us?
First, I just have to say thank you to Don, because we learned of this opportunity. It actually came to us at the end of 2011. And so not knowing what a SEDS actually meant, what a distressed community qualification actually was, I have to say his knowledge has really walked us through this process. So let me take you back to September of 2011. And most of you, I think all of you, were actually at our groundbreaking of our Smart Commercialization Center. And you're well aware of what that facility is designed to do. It's to help sensor-based products with companies get commercialized and accelerate that pathway to commercialization that then can help create jobs that have a lot of the same skill sets as many of our dislocated workers in our community. That project, from that point in time, we've certainly been sharing that not only on a local level, but a state and federal level as well. And during that process, the project actually caught the eyes and ears of a couple of federal agencies, one of which is NIST, which is the National Institute for Standards and Technology, as well as the Department of Commerce and their Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We have the opportunity to visit with NIST and specifically their MEMS and Sensor group. They have a whole delegation dedicated to this industry. As we were sharing the SMART focus in terms of that bridge between research and commercialization, we had learned that for the last 18 months, NIST has been doing a road mapping process to look at that commercialization process both on a national and international level. Their results of that study identified the exact same barriers to entry that we have identified that the SMART Center addresses for companies. One of their priorities is to develop a university center-based concept that provides a multi-user shared resource facility where companies can come in and get the advanced packaging, the reliability testing, and the simulation work, and that is SMART. So SMART is meeting both at a local, state, and now at a national level the priorities of this particular industry to move forward. And as we were going through that discussion, both NIST and the Department of Commerce encouraged us and directed us to this EDA funding. Particularly our proposal, which we had 7 days in December to submit, knowing that we had a lot of material weaknesses, but one of the things that we had learned early from Don and from others was it at least takes 2 rounds of going through this process to qualify. So we had submitted in December and looked at how we could focus specifically this public works funding to outfit the labs within SMART that not only meet the local and state need that we've identified, but could meet that national need. So from that perspective, SMART can be utilized as a federal resource, both from a research and federal lab technology transfer, but also from industry. So as you think about the scope that this could have an impact on Lorain County, it could bring industry through here, some of which are going to like what they see that's been built by this community in economic development, and some may even decide to stick. So it's one of those opportunities that we've been directed to. I think it's going to be a short time frame. We actually are looking to resubmit our application with all of those qualifications that we've been walked through in this process, one of which is very important, is that this project is included as a priority in our community within our SEDS document. And that's what we're here today to hope that you'll give us that consideration to do as that next cornerstone of our economic development project. The other piece is distressed communities, and as we look at that, one piece we were able to identify is 30 initial companies that are being served or to be served by SMART are within 5 miles of an economically distressed community. As you think about the job potential that those companies can have and what it can mean to the workforce of not only Lorain County but Northeast Ohio, it can certainly be that economic engine that we need for that to be. So we're hoping, we certainly value all of the projects that move this community forward. We believe that this is a unique opportunity and a very time-sensitive opportunity that if we can seize, we can certainly have an opportunity to bring those resources to Lorain County and position Lorain County on a national stage.
With my discussions with Dr. Church, he believes from his discussions with our supporters in Washington that we absolutely have an extraordinary chance to raise to the next level for this funding. Now, nobody can guarantee that funding, but it's as close to being yes as you can get without being guaranteed. They've had the discussions in Washington with lots of folks that influence this process. Number one. Number two, we need to be this fluid in the community. While it does somewhat do away with the processes that we've gone through towards the end, which is sometimes stressful to the partners that are involved. We need to be this fluid to be able to see that we have a line of sight to something that may be exciting for the community and be able to flex ourselves so that we don't miss that opportunity. And the third thing is, I don't think that you'll be done before there's another round of this. So I don't know that we could actually submit this again next year for potential funding, because you already have finished the Smart Center, I think, by then?
The Smart Center will officially open spring of 2013. So we anticipate that we'll be submitting our formal application with the SEDS and with the distressed community piece identified and qualified next week. So we're looking at a short turnaround.
Yeah, so by this time next year, when we're looking at what we're going to submit as a priority, it'll be, they don't post-fund.
Right.
So we need to be in line now. And so I think it's important that while we give consideration to our other partners, that we place this as a priority.
Well, it's a great facility out there, Tracy. I love the Dessage Smart Center. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
going to be the Silicon Valley, right, of sensors? Is that what I heard from Mark
Absolutely.
Kwame?
I think it was Memsville, but you're right.
Memsville?
And in
Okay.
fact, we have a conversation in Chicago tomorrow with the regional director of EDA over this project. So certainly all of the stars are aligned to the point that they can be at where we're at.
You gonna make a motion?
Awesome, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll definitely make a motion to, how do you need the motion
Well,
to
there's a
read?
motion and a second already on the floor. We're just in discussion.
Oh.
To approve the SEDS referrals.
Beautiful.
It's always great when something's so exciting that you rush to or want to do
Well,
it.
yeah, it's
Get
a
her done.
really unique opportunity, and I'm excited that you guys all got together and to get this done so quickly.
And thank Tracy for pointing out the work that was done by the county's Community
Right.
Development Department and, of course, the Growth Partnership, where these relationships make sure that these dialogues are happening.
Mm-hmm. Great. Call for the motion, or for the vote.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye,
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
thank you.
Under Golden Acres, approve and enter into a professional service agreement with Platt Moran for both Medicare and Medicaid cost report preparation for the year 2011, the amount of $6,900.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye,
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under Solid Waste, approve and enter an MOU with OSU Extension Office for a composting education program in the amount of $17,400 for the year 2012.
so moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Bailey, did you want to comment on this? Bring us all kinds of cool things for recycling and composting,
Well,
tires, and,
This is actually the other component of making our $103,000 to have our OSU get the funding, which will then continue the 4-H
right.
funding.
Yeah, this particular program, OSU Extension provides the composting education link into our community for residential and school people, school children. They did about 800 persons last year that they contacted and had in their program. It's a very successful program. We want to continue this with an MOU and extend this MOU into 2012.
Thank you.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye,
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the coroner, approve and enter into various agreements effective retroactive January 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2012 to perform services pathologist assistance on an on-call basis as needed for autopsies at EMH, Elyria, and AFSC Company Lorraine, and contains a 30-day ring cancellation clause. Robert G. Cole III at a rate of $75 an hour and Charles L. Duke Jr. at a rate of $85 an hour.
so moved?
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye,
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the engineer, approved for issuance and sale of notes in an aggregate amount not to exceed $5,222,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to pay cost of construction and salt storage facility, improving highway, roads, streets, and bridges located in the county, together with all necessary appetances thereto.
so moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Just want to say the county engineer and the cities must have really saved a lot of money on salt this year for not having to salt the roads thanks to not having much snow, so it's a good thing.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye,
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the sheriff, approved Second Amendment to Cerix Technologies, Inc., inmate phone service provider. Said amendment is to recognize the Larry Jail as an annex site in the original contract effective March 8, 2012.
so moved?
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under TB, transfer the following equipment to Mercy Hospital, Lorraine, for the operation of the clinic, syringes, and Mantox solution vials, medication.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Do we want to do a hearing now?
Sure.
First public hearing on CDBG, Linda? Probably sign this one.
Didn't sign it? Missed one.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Linda Blanchett from Lorraine County Community Development Department, 5th floor. Thank you for this first public hearing. And if you've not already done so, please sign in on the sign-in sheets.
Can you move the mic a little bit closer to you? There you
I
go.
can.
Perfect.
I'm going to conduct the first public hearing for the fiscal 12 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant, also known as CDBG. This program uses both state and federal dollars, and it is administered locally by the Board of County Commissioners through their Community Development Department at 226 Middle Avenue, 5th floor, Elyria, Ohio. I want to remind everyone that there are acquired and entitlement communities. An entitled community must have a population greater than 50,000 residents. Entitlement cities and counties receive their funding directly from the federal government. Elyria and Lorraine are entitlement counties.
Cities.
Cities, sorry. Thanks. An acquired city is a community with a population less than 50,000 with concentrations of low to moderate income families. They receive an earmark from the state, but they must work with our local county. We have 2 acquired cities, Sheffield Lake and Amherst. North Ridgeville is a state entitlement community, which means they bypass the county and they receive their funds directly from the State Department of Development. Lorraine County is an acquired county, meaning its population is less than 200,000. I believe the census shows us at 182,726, and that's with removing the cities of Lorraine and Elyria. Acquired counties receive their funding directly from the State Department of Development. Today I'm here to inform everyone that, number one, this program is available, and the types of the eligible programs. The state of Ohio has identified its general objectives for the use of these funds. The total anticipated federal allocation to the state has been divided and budgeted to meet the community needs, and we are prepared to hear from persons, organizations, and officials from this county concerning the needs that exist in our communities and which need to be addressed using these funds. Today at 1 o'clock we're having a Housing Advisory Committee meeting which brings the community together to discuss the needs in their areas. The overview of this plan, the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended in 1972, HUD, entitlement in state cities CDBG allocation to the states, and the Act established 3 national objectives that need to be met. Any activity which uses CDBG funds must meet one of the national objectives. They are benefiting low to moderate income persons and households, aid in the elimination of slum and blighting conditions, and must meet an urgent community need. This act further established a list of eligible community development activities which can be funded with CDBG dollars to include activities designed to create jobs for low to moderate income individuals, provision of housing, specifically the improvement of housing stock and items related to the improvement of housing stock, public facilities improvements, activities designed to remove architectural barriers, and public service activities under certain circumstances. These 5 activities can be undertaken as long as they meet one of the national objectives. The state of Ohio expects to receive an allocation from the federal 2012 Housing and Urban Development HUD funds. Additional state funds will be earmarked to provide a match. Lorraine County received $389,000 in formula grant allocation for the FY 2011 grant year, and we expect to receive a lesser amount of funding for 2012 as the state CDBG funding has been reduced by about 8%. The amount has not been determined. Lorraine County received $500,000 in CHIP funds for fiscal year 2010 and is eligible to apply for approximately $500,000 for 2012 grant year. As the home funds to the state have been reduced by 38%, the state expects to fund approximately 50 applicants this year in the state. Last funding round, they funded 74. So this is a very competitive grant. Fair housing activity is mandatory and required in receiving these grant awards. In the past, Lorraine County has used primarily 4 programs, which were Community Housing Improvement Program, CHIP, Formula Allocation Program, Water and Sanitary Sewer Program, and Economic Development Program. The other programs that the county is able to apply for are the Homeless Assistance Grant, Housing Assistance Grant, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, Microenterprise Business Development Grant, Discretionary Grant, and New Horizons Fair Housing Assistance Program. CDBG Formula 2012 funding request forms will be mailed out this Friday. We mail those out to all the eligible communities. Anyone who gives me a call and has an interest, nonprofits we send to, those will go out Friday. I have also brought some if anyone would like a funding request form. Or give me a call and I will be glad to mail one out. The second public hearing for the CHIP allocation, for the CHIP grant application will be on March 21st at 2012 at 11:15 a.m. in this same room. And the date of the 2012 grant application submission deadline is, for the CDBG grant, it is around June 25th, and for the CHIP grant, it is April the 2nd. So we're on a time crunch. We have also sent out community assessment strategy surveys to all the communities. It goes in conjunction with the SEDS and what they are doing too. It gives us an idea what the needs are as far as infrastructure in the communities. So when we ask for these funding requests, when we look at their forms they've sent in, if they're not matching, I give them a call and say, hey, you mentioned this in your CAS. How about we talk about future project? So it gives us some insight there too. And that is the conclusion of my public hearing.
You mentioned homeless assistance grant.
Mhm.
Are we allowed to help the Valor Home with the veterans at St. Joe's for their homeless veterans through that grant?
Yeah, we'd have to check into all the details. There are a lot of restrictions, requirements, nonprofits, how much public service we do have.
Okay.
But it is an area we could look into.
Would they have to contact, can we do this together? And then
Sure.
I can let them know?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, we do we do a homeless shelter now.
Correct.
That's similar. It would fit under the public community services, I think, end of CDBG.
Right, public service activity.
Right. I don't know if there's any boundary restrictions with regard to the location, though. I see Don shaking his head. That would probably be an issue better addressed to the city for their CDBG consideration, possibly. Normally, ours are outside those
city?
those cities.
That's one of the reasons, not to interrupt you, we couldn't use our CDBG money on any of the improvements at the South Shore facility. It had to be Lorraine applying because it was their territory.
Correct.
So, there may be some geographical boundary restrictions that preclude us from doing that. But we do fund the Meals on Wheels program, and the seniors are located in Elyria. So I think we need to take a strong look at when it's a service delivery and not a fixed expenditure on, say, a capital project, whether those boundaries are as inflexible as they appear. So we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
And it depends on the need, too. What is the request for funding? Bricks and mortar or support?
Yeah, probably both. Thank you. Any questions? Do we need to close the public hearing? I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to regular business. Or
Well, no,
we
we
have
have
another
presentation.
presentation, that's right.
Presentation from Barb
Yeah,
Bickle.
Barb Bickle
Yeah.
from the Visitors
well-
Bureau.
Yeah, while Barb's coming up, I want to give special thanks to the Visitors Bureau. They meet on Wednesday, on the fourth Wednesday, which kind of conflicts with the commissioners' meeting. And to allow me to sit on the board, they actually changed it to accommodate my schedule, which
Good.
is something kind of new because we actually have a board that wants a commissioner there. So thank you.
Good.
And I'm
Give it
excited.
time, give it time, we'll change
Yeah.
it back to Wednesday.
But Barb has some great ideas, and she's done some terrific work. And I'm very proud of what she has done in the presentation that we're going to see. I was at the in Oberlin Saturday, and just again, I applaud you for everything you did there. I know you're going to touch on it in the presentation. So,
Thank you, and thanks for your involvement with Visit Lorraine County. We appreciate all the support we can get from the commissioners. Okay, I brought along a little presentation. It's been a while since I've been up here, so we have a lot of exciting things going on. I hope you'll be as excited about it as we are. A lot of positive things going on in our community. Okay, to begin, to share with you, just to remind you, our mission is to increase the economic impact of tourism in Lorraine County. We're funded through a 3% tax that's levied on local lodging facilities. So nothing comes from the general fund. We're funded directly from tourists and visitors to Lorraine County. We also receive a little bit of revenue from our membership. Our membership is primarily businesses that are related to tourism and organizations throughout the county. We also have some revenue through rent and advertising. Just to show you where we're positioned in the state, this is kind of exciting. It proves that Lorraine County ranks in the top dozen or so counties in the state of Ohio for total tourism sales. And then this gives you some economic impact numbers specifically on our lakeshore counties. I'd like to share with you some numbers related to what we're doing at Visit Lorraine County. It's impossible to give you a complete picture of all that we do in our entire market strategy, but I'll just hit on some of the basics and some of the things that are going on right now. And if you have any questions on our overall strategy, I'd always be happy to answer those for you. Our website growth is a good indicator to us whether our marketing efforts are really paying off. These numbers reflect our website activity for 2011. These numbers show the growth of our site over the last 3 years. The dark blue bars show individual visitor visits, and the light blue are page views. So you can see that the website, which is a good indicator of visitor interest in our area, that's growing. And what's really exciting is so far for this year, our traffic over the periods of January and February is up 30% over the same period last year. So we're excited about that. I do get asked a lot about the composition of the site. Our most popular pages visited are calendar of events, our sporting venues, Underground Railroad, and lodging. We attribute a lot of the growth of our website to aggressive social marketing efforts that we've done and some of our ads. This chart shows our membership growth over the past 4 years and the staff salaries. You can see that the salaries have been conversely reduced. Our board and staff have also made the difficult decisions that everybody's making. We've had some cuts, and we've been operating consistently in the black for the past several years. This shows some of the social, how did I get this one? Sorry. Okay. Brochure distribution here, a picture of our visitor center. And I apologize, that number's not 203 phone inquiries, it's 2,037. We distribute our brochures through our visitor center. We get a lot of online requests. We mail them out as a result of that. They're distributed through ODOT, travel information stations throughout the state on the major highways. We're on every Turnpike Plaza. We're on the Indiana Turnpike and racked throughout tourism businesses in Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. And our information can also be found locally at local libraries and government offices. Some of our social networking that we're doing, we aggressively promote Lorain County through Foursquare, Blogger, Flickr, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Issue, and Pinterest. And we found that this is a great way to drive traffic to our website and blogs and to all of our member websites as well. These are our two blogs. We have a Visit Lorain County blog, which is a general idea of what's going on in Lorain County, and we also have Back Roads and Beaches, which focuses on outdoor recreation. Our Flickr photo stream has been a great way for us to get positive images of Lorain County out to the media. Local organizations often use it to promote themselves or what they're doing. We have used it for a number of national media, local and state media, Budget Travel Magazine, Country Living, Adventure Cycling, AAA Home and Away Magazine, Lake Erie Living, Cleveland Business, Pulse, Lakeland Boating, Courier, Ohio Sports and Fitness, the Associated Press, and most of our local media have all accessed and used the site. We have two Twitter accounts, one for Visit Lorain County and Back Roads and Beaches. We have 3 Facebook pages, Visit Lorain County, Back Roads and Beaches, and Lake Erie Fishing, which have over 4,000 fans. A YouTube channel. Our issue site is where we provide digital versions of our printed materials. A few of the changes that have been happening at Visit Lorain County over the past few years, we've sort of rebranded and refocused. We're really focusing on the outdoors, outdoor recreation. As always, we're heavily promoting Lake Erie, using Back Roads and Beaches as the cornerstone of our outdoor marketing. We've changed our name from the Lorain County Visitors Bureau to Visit Lorain County, and that's mostly outside of the county, just to be a little more approachable for our visitors. Our priority markets include leisure travelers, heritage and experiential tourism, culinary tourism, and regional collaborations. But for this presentation, I'll just focus on sports marketing and a little bit on our heritage tourism, since we have a lot going on in those areas this month and in the next few months. One of the most recognizable events coming is Tough Mudder. Tough Mudder is a major national obstacle course and running event that we're bringing to Lorain County. I met with them last year at the National Association of Sports Commissions National Conference, and I was able to pitch Lorain County. They were looking to have an event here in Lorain County, or in this area in northern Ohio, so we brought them in for site visits, and they decided on the quarries in South Amherst. So we're really excited about that. It's expected to bring in 20,000 plus people over the weekend of April 14th and 15th. People are coming from all over the country. It's already selling out many of our local accommodations, but I want to point out that an event like this doesn't just hit revenue for the tourism industry, but they're also looking to us to provide them information on ice companies, porta potty companies, local builders, transportation companies, everything, hairstylists, tattoo, entertainment, large equipment companies, rental companies, generators, sign printers, and waste management. So it really kind of branches out to all components. They're also providing local nonprofits and schools the opportunity to raise funds through volunteering at the event. And then, of course, there's always the profile that it generates for Lorraine County as a premier outdoor venue for events such as this. So we're really hopeful that they'll come back every year if it's a win-win for both the event and the venue. They have said that they would like to come back. They're already telling us that it's a very successful event for them. Saturday is almost sold out, which would be 10,000 participants. That doesn't even include their families or spectators, and they expect Sunday to be close to the same. So we're very excited about that event.
With this event, has it ever been located in Ohio?
No, this is the only Ohio event that they
Yeah,
have.
it normally was up in Michigan, right?
Well, they were looking for a place in Michigan, and we were kind of competing with them. We were also competing with some counties west of us when we brought them in for site visits, but they really were impressed with Lorraine County. They knew that everyone would get behind the event and be very enthusiastic about it, which it's helpful for them to have a lot of local support and enthusiasm.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't heard of this, but when you go on the website, I was actually going to think about challenging my fellow commissioners.
Yeah, I
to
heard
an
about
event
it. I'm
that-
sending my assistant.
So, but there is a lot of excitement about this event, and I mean, I would do it, but I'm just scared about snow in April and getting in the water. But
Right.
a lot of people are looking forward to it. You are promoting Lorraine County businesses, so.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
and
And they're aware that
The hotels, they have to love you because in April, they don't get much business. It's before Cedar Point opens and that, so. It's a great event. I mean, it's a 2-day event, but it's something that's gonna definitely put us on the map here if they continue to come back.
Exactly, and we're happy to have been able to bring the event here. So. Cycling promotion is another component of our sports marketing program. We use our Backroads and Beaches route to promote local heritage restaurants, local wineries, and our parks to cycling groups. We also use it as a premier route for athletes and triathlons. For instance, the Vermilion Harbor Triathlon uses Backroads and Beaches as their course. Adventure Cycling is a national cycling organization with approximately 45,000 members in the United States. They're a powerful and authoritative voice on cycling tourism in the U.S. We've been working with them since 2006 to host cyclists from all over the world on its new Underground Railroad route. And this year, they are introducing a new Detroit alternate spur route to that Underground Railroad route that makes Oberlin the hub of the entire route. And I'm on the advisory board for that. So when Jim Sayer, their executive director, was doing their Whirlwind nationwide media tour, he asked me to help facilitate this event that was in Oberlin last week, and we were happy to do that because not only are events like that great for raising the profile of our cycling and our outdoor adventure that we have here, but they also provide a venue for our members to get a lot of publicity from it as well. And we did have several members that really benefited from that event. The other program that we really want to bolster is the Underground Railroad Center in Oberlin and the restoration of the gas holder building. It's a very important project locally to contribute to the economic impact of tourism. We regularly seek out media opportunities to promote our county and our member businesses. And this is just an example of some of the recent stories that have run as a result of our efforts. But back to Adventure Cycling, since they've gotten so much recent media attention, we see a lot of cyclists traveling on the Underground Railroad route. I saw this guy, he was traveling south on the route, and he was headed for an overnight in Wellington. The next couple slides I have actually are from Jim Sayer, the Executive Director of Adventure Cycling, his presentation on cycling tourism. This is the Underground Railroad bike route. It starts in Mobile, Alabama, and it goes up into Ontario, Canada. And you can see it runs through Wellington and Oberlin. It brings a lot of groups to Lorain County that we assist with on a regular basis. And this is the new Detroit alternate spur that allows cyclists now to travel west into Canada. Another image of adventure cycling's Great Lakes routes. This nicely illustrates just how tied in Lorain County is to national cycling efforts. This is another picture of Underground Railroad riders heading towards Oberlin. This is Jim Sayer provided some data on the power and economic impact of cycling. Here are some numbers and figures of the economic impact in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. Those states are very similar to Ohio in their tourism makeup, being Great Lakes states and what they have to offer. Our state just hasn't conducted a study yet, but these numbers to us are really striking and they're hard for us to ignore. So we really actively need to grab onto this market. We also actively promote our Lake Erie recreation. Of course, Lake Erie is the walleye capital of the world, and our charter captains, bait and tackle shops, marinas, and our kayaking businesses, they all heavily depend on our marketing efforts. So we do a great deal of cooperative marketing with them and the city of Lorain to promote both the fishery and the kayaking on the Black River. One of those ways that we promote Lake Erie is to try to bring in fishing tournaments, and that also builds our profile as a nationally significant fishing destination. One of those successful pitches has resulted in the AIM Pro Walleye Series, which is going to be held in Lorain this summer on June 28th through the 30th. So it's going to be bringing in a lot of the pros, and then that's when the amateurs follow. In our heritage tourism promotions, we promote our rich Underground Railroad history heavily. On the Trail to Freedom Underground Railroad program, we've won many awards and we've received a lot of national recognition. This spring, with the help of a grant from the Community Foundation of Lorain County's African American Fund, we'll be producing new printed materials for this program to assist our travelers. It will also be a great way to bolster the efforts of the Underground Railroad Center in Oberlin as well. We're very proud to say that we've won numerous state and national awards for our programs, our marketing, our social networking campaigns, and our printed materials. And some of those awards of which we're most proud would be from the National Association of Sports Commissions. Among all of the sports commissions in the U.S., we've won Outstanding Local Program for Back Roads and Beaches and Outstanding Communications for that same program. We've also won multiple statewide awards for our advertising, our print media, and social networking. Here's a recent ad that won several statewide awards. That was, I believe, last year's print ad that we ran. And here's a preview of this year's advertising that we're running right now in Lake Erie Living, the Lake Erie Wine Trail Guide, and Ohio Bike Calendar. Those are just some examples of publications that we advertise. All of our marketing and advertising and our printed materials are all done in-house. That helps us save a lot of money. And here's a preview of our new 2012 Adventure and Visitors Guide to Lorain County. We'll begin distributing this late next month. For the first time in several years, we'll be expanding this to add a few pages due to increased advertising support, which is very encouraging. One more event I want to mention is the Lorraine County Beautiful Awards, which we hold every other year. This is a Lorraine County Beautiful Awards year, so I would encourage anyone to nominate any Lorraine County property by using the form on our visitors website, visit lorainecounty.com. The awards banquet date is October 25th, and that'll be at Spitzer Conference Center, so I hope you'll support that and attend the event. It is again funded through a generous grant from the Community Foundation of Lorraine County. To conclude my presentation, we have some stakeholders from Visit Lorraine County who've come and shared some time with us, and I hope that you'll indulge them to let each one come up, introduce themselves, and give you a brief statement.
Switch it over.
You could go to either one.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Darlene Colasso. I'm the Assistant City Manager and the HR Administrator for Oberlin, and I'm here supporting Barb today in Visit Lorraine County, and I have a few things to say. One of them is Visit Lorraine County has been instrumental in advocating for bike signage on the North Coast Inland Bike Trail and promoting the Underground Railroad in Oberlin and throughout Lorraine County. Because of these vital components, the number of touring cycles has increased due to their directed efforts. And from a local government perspective, with all the recent state funding cuts, Visit Lorraine County is doing exactly what we need in Oberlin, and I know that what many other communities need throughout Lorraine County, and that's increasing tourism and promoting economic development in Oberlin and throughout Lorraine County. And we couldn't do it without them, so thank you to Barb, and hats off to Visit Lorraine County.
All right. Woo. Did you have someone else wanting?
Yeah,
Want to introduce?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Frank Malley. I am a local entrepreneur. Last year, my fiance, Marie Mahalo, and I started a company that we call North Coast Grapevine Tours. We did this for the purpose of bringing people to the local wineries in our area and promoting all of the wineries in our area that are located on what's known as the Lake Erie Shores and Islands Wine Trail. We did this because we have a lot of confidence in the future of this particular tourist attraction. We believe in Ohio and we believe in Lorraine County. And as is the case with other businesses, the Lorraine County Visitors Bureau has been very helpful and instrumental in helping our business achieve our marketing goals. As a small business owner, we don't have funds to waste, so we are very particular with where we spend those dollars. And one of the ways we judge the efficiency with which we have achieved our marketing goals is by tracking our website traffic. And I can tell you that the pass-through traffic that we get through the website of Lorraine County Visitors Bureau rates always for the last year in the top 3 of pass-through traffic, meaning that on a monthly basis, they probably give us 5,000 to 6,000 views that we would not otherwise have. So we consider our investment with them to be priceless, basically. They are an extension of our marketing department that we would not otherwise be able to afford or pull off without them.
Are you, did you do the trails last year with the 6 wineries, and you had to get them signed off? And
We
get a
did
letter
not.
each one?
We have been a legal business since March of 2011, so we're coming up on a year. We did not do our first winery tour until July 7th.
I know last year they did, you had to get a letter at each winery
Right,
and complete
yeah.
the...
We are participating in some of those activities later this year. We got a late start last year because of some different issues that came up with our development of our website and whatnot. But we have been very pleased with the response we've gotten. We tend to view ourselves as ambassadors for Lorraine County. And, I've always been the type of person who takes the attitude that if it is to be, it is up to me. So this new business venture is one of our small way of contributing to one of the positive things that's going on in Lorraine County. And I might also add that the first week in May is National Travel and Tourism Month. And North Coast Grapevine Tours would like to invite the commissioners to go on a full-day winery tour with us if you would be so inclined. And we would be more than happy to show you all the wonderful things that are going on with regards to that portion of recreation and travel and tourism.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good
I am
morning.
Nancy Klingshirn. Following up on what he's talking about wineries, we own Klingshirn Winery. We've been in business since 1935. With the globalization of wine in the 70s, we lost probably 70% of our sales because everybody was going elsewhere. Through the efforts of Visit Lorain County, getting tourists coming from surrounding states to visit us, we have rebounded. We knew we can do steak fries. We have different people who come in and say they've seen the brochure, they've seen the Flickr account, they've seen little tags online, and for us it has been a definite selling point, keeping us in business, getting customers to come in. And in regards to the wine trail he's talking about, we just did one February and it was all chocolate. You went to every winery and you got a piece of chocolate at every winery.
Yeah, but I wanted one of those classes, and I couldn't get the I couldn't get the ferry up to the island to get my last letter.
See, the one in the winter, you don't have to go up to the island. You can
Okay,
stay on the,
I
all
missed
the
that one,
mainland
but
wineries.
I really did try to get to the island and get my last letter so I could get that class.
So
But it was
February, chocolate.
it was a great event. It was good for Lorain County. We have a number of wonderful wineries in Lorain County, and one just opened up down on Quarry Road a little while back. So the industry is expanding all over. It was great.
There are currently 159 wineries throughout the state of Ohio, 1,500 acres of wine or grapes, 1.5 million gallons of wine, and produces $72 million of wine-related tourism a year across the state. So it is a good, viable industry.
Morning.
Morning.
My name's Tommy Oship. I'm the Director of Marketing for a sports complex. We're over in North Ridgeville called Victory Park, Ohio. And we've been in business for about 14 months. And one of the first things I did with this position was became a member of Visit Lorain County. So that was one of my first expenses that I kind of had to fight for, and you know, everybody's kind of tight and everything like that. But I wanted to talk about the return on investment as being a member. So we re-upped for this year, and we're happy to be a member. But as far as a return on investment, I had three things that I wanted to hit on, and the first one was networking. So I got introduced to a lot of people within the tourism industry, the president of Ohio Tourism, and other people that for us, for in our business, we do a lot of sports events and bringing people in to Lorain County. So knowing other people in the tourism industry was very beneficial, because one of our goals as a business is to give these tourists the best time once they come into Lorain County. The next thing was promotion. Barb hit on all the social media, which for us has been instrumental. It's been very beneficial, and we get a lot of retweets, we get a lot of Facebook posts, and we get a lot of help from Visit Lorain County in to bolster our social media marketing. Also with the brochures, getting our brochures into the facility has been helpful. The third thing I want to hit on is the long-term planning. She mentioned the National Association of Sports Commissions. So for us to become a member of Visit Lorain County, having a presence and being a part of when they go out to this event and trying to convince individuals that run sporting events into bringing this event to Lorain County. Much like Tough Mudder, there are sports events that we will try to bring into the county, and having the support of Visit Lorain County is huge, because they know that when these people come in, it's not just a sporting event. It's a sporting event, it's restaurants, it's hotels, it's any other activities or things that these people can participate in once they come into Lorain County. And then the other thing is some partnered events, which we've actually talked to Visit Lorain County and working together on some of these events that we can actually build from within, with the intention of creating economic impact within Lorain County. So I just wanted to offer my support and say that, for us as a business, it's been very beneficial of being a member, and we look forward to being a member for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to point out that we have two of Lorain County's largest lodging tax collectors here, and KP is stepping up. He's one of them.
Hi, my name is Kiran Patel. I'm the general manager of the Country Inn & Suites. I'm also a board member. And, I can't say enough about what Barb's done for Visit Lorain County. They're a partner for us. When we need resources, we go to them. They have so many different members that we can go to as well. basically it's a good partnership membership. We get a lot of promotions from our franchise chains, but locally, we do need help. We do need to know what's going on, things like that. We get a lot of information from Barb. Some of that information is shared with all the hotels, all the restaurants. Good example, Tough Mudder, the walleye tournament that's coming in, and some of the other events that take place locally. So it's really been a very, very good situation. It's a win-win situation for the whole county. Just to kind of give you guys an idea, I've been the manager there for almost 10 years now. Over the last few years, or probably like the last 2 years, the sports market in Lorain County has really, really taken off. I mean, we see a lot of group requests coming in, and they're coming in from all over the country. And that is a tribute to what Barb's done. There's a lot of things that people don't know about what's in Lorain County. Once again, some of the things that she's put together for us, some of the brochures that she's put together, we use those to sell the county as well. And guests love it when they go to a hotel, they can find things to do in the area. They really, really do like that. And we're not totally blindsided too. There's things I didn't know was in the county that I've kind of learned about as well. Mm-hmm. I'm not from Ohio originally. I didn't know about the Underground Railroad, that it was in Oberlin. That's something new for me, and we've actually had a couple of groups come in just for that in the past year. So it's been a useful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Barb, just real quick, when did you come on board? I know you were here and you kind of left and you came back. So when did you come back?
I started in late 2006.
Late 2006.
So 2007 was my first full.
Yeah, I know there's been some criticism even of before with the Visitors Bureau. But since you've come on, you've definitely taken control over, and I've been talking to local business leaders. And you've done a wonderful job. So I just wanted to point that out to people who may not have seen things out on the turnpike before. You're doing a great job. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that support.
Can I add something in support of the efforts that are being made there? You've heard this talk before, but it's a perfect example of that needs to be discussed now. The data's a little bit old, but a few years ago when they were doing this type of data capture, it was strongly indicated that Lorain County, from a tax dollar standpoint and spending standpoint and discretional spending standpoint, we were a donor county. There's donor counties and there's recipient counties. Recipient counties are those counties that draw in additional spending into their communities because of various, whether it be shopping or entertainment or dining, and in those counties that for one reason or another end up being the donor counties to those recipient counties. Last data set had us about 86 or 87%. And a lot of talks out there, we have a lower taxes so people come here to shop, or we have this, we have that. It just isn't true. Yeah. And without tourism dollars coming in to have discretionary spending here in Lorain County and to pull in some of those dollars, we're never going to stop being a donor county and get closer to being a recipient county. With the challenges facing us between two major destinations, which is Erie County and Cuyahoga County, which offers some great attractive services, we need to find reasons for people to stop here and spend money here. And without the efforts going through the Visitors Bureau, we're simply going to be that exit on the major highways where we don't get any spending going on here. We need to keep more and more dollars in Lorain County. If we can't keep them in Lorain County, we need to bring them in from external. It's the same import-exports that you see on the national level. It just has to do with services and facilities at the local level. So we really need the Visitors Bureau, and we really need the things that they do there.
Even with the sports, just my experience with a child being in a premier soccer club, and Barb, your daughter, used to play on it as well. The travel, going back and forth, staying overnight places, and seeing in Cuyahoga County, we can do that stuff here. And we have groups that are looking at doing it, not like the Premier Academy in Lorain, but setting up facilities to do soccer, softball in North Ridgeville. And it definitely brings in the dollars. It really doesn't cost us much. So,
Absolutely, and Victory Park in North Ridgeville is going to be one of those facilities that's going to help us sell those youth tournaments that do bring in so much money to communities.
Yeah.
They'll have those capabilities for baseball, softball, and soccer tournaments, so we're excited about working with them and our partnership with them.
As Victory Park, have you opened up your new facility there with the dining and the restrooms and stuff like that? If, it may be a perfect time for you to plug where you guys are, because I know there's been some additional work done out there.
We still have ongoing construction. It's basically a reinvestment campaign. It might take years and years to get the complete infrastructure developed, but as far as that restaurant facility, it's completely enclosed. The electrical has been installed, and now they're kind of going through and meeting to discuss a construction plan. But basically, the best update I can give in regards to that is it will be operational. Defining operational is difficult at this time, but at least getting it up and running with permanent restrooms and maybe a concession window right now is the current plan.
where's the location of the facility?
Directly off of Lorraine Road, exit 152 off of the Turnpike, and exit 2 off of I-480. So if you're familiar with the Lorraine Road, we're actually, if you get off of I-480, if you were to turn left, we're about a quarter mile away from the
By the new community
highway.
college campus, just
Correct,
past
just
that.
past the Lorraine County Community College.
For most people, for landmark purposes, they're by the drive-in.
Driving, right.
In
Correct.
North
Autorama.
Ridgeville. The Autorama. I've been out there, it's a great facility, and in fact, I've been talking to Mr. Moles about some opportunities to work through the Port Authority with regard to doing some of the financing that's needed out there.
Oh, great.
We haven't been able to reach agreement on that, but we're still having the dialogue, so
Sure.
I'm glad things are still moving ahead out there.
And we appreciate the support.
We have a couple more members.
While he's walking up, I just want to tell you, just from the last time that you did a presentation until this time, you've really brought this a long way. I'm very impressed. I'm really excited about the things that you're doing. And I just wondered if you are at all part of Team Lorraine County, and maybe that would be a good fit for you if you're not.
I work with Steve closely
You do.
on a number of things. We usually meet a couple times a year and share ideas about marketing, programs that we can work together on. I know he often uses our photos and some of our marketing materials when he's making presentations too. So, we're always happy. He worked on some parking issues for me when I was pitching Tough Mudder. So, having a relationship with Steve has always been great for us.
Yeah, I mean, his business is to sell Lorraine County, and so is yours. So even more than 2 times a year, I think would be beneficial. What about Team Tuesdays, Mr. Cortez? Would it be something that she may want to consider participating in?
Don's right there, it's been out there. I'm not sure what the relationship is up there. I don't usually participate in it on a going basis, but.
Rex Engel.
Hello, Rex.
Wearing several hats here today. I am in charge of the Oberlin Inn, have been in charge of that inn for about 20 years. So we have collected bed tax dollars for Lorraine County during that time. And also here today as the chair of Visit Lorraine County, or Lorraine County Visitors Bureau. Certainly, as you've all pointed out, that since Barb has taken the helm, the board has reorganized, re-strategized, and came up with a strategic plan that has certainly made Lorraine County much more known in the state as well as on a national level, not only from marketing. But we started that process even before Barb took the helm with the Underground Railroad Heritage Center marketing. Len DeLuca, who just left a couple minutes ago, was the chair of the organization at that time. And we were the first county in the state, Visitors Bureau in the state, to even offer such a marketing plan. And we have been the role model under Barb's leadership. She's been very modest that she worked as an employee for the organization when that brochure was done and did the back work of that. So her history goes back to be able to orchestrate that and to take it to the next level, which she's going to do this year with the grant that she's gotten. But I'd just like to say that the board has certainly appreciates everything and the opportunities that we do to have to market the great opportunities of entertainment and recreation that is in Lorraine County. We have certainly seen development from a hotel standpoint. And our motto is we don't want them to stay just for the day in Lorain County. We need them to stay in a bed in Lorain County, because that's how we are able to make all these programs happen, is by that 3% lodging tax that every visitor pays. So on behalf of that, I personally publicly want to thank Barb and her staff, which is 2 other people besides herself. It's a staff of 3, for the outstanding job they have done to make Lorain County known in the tourism business in Ohio and throughout the nation. Thank you.
Thank
Great,
you.
Rex. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patty Young. I'm a co-owner of Wellington Implement in Wellington, Ohio. And you wonder why I'm on the board of Visit Lorain County. You probably wonder why I would even bother. My first love is public relations. And before I moved back to Wellington 14 years ago, I spent 25 years in the food, wine, and travel industry. I did public relations, and I had positions in New York, Cincinnati, and New Orleans. And I came back to help with the family business, and so I'm out there selling red tractors now. But I quickly joined the board of Visit Lorain County soon after my return here. And I just wanted to say that Barb and her team, since she's come on board, there's just been a different style of doing public relations. She's very cutting edge with Twitter, Facebook, all the things that I would not be able to do anymore. You know, that is not how we did it. We would print press releases, we would fold them, put them in an envelope, and mail them, you know. That's how we did our business back when I was doing it. So it's very exciting to see how she's really grabbed all this new communication strategy and moving us into the next century. Another thing I really admire about Barb is she's proactive. You can be reactive in the public relations world, but she's proactive. So that means that she's already thought about where she wants to have her ads, where she wants the stories, how she can best make an economic impact on this community. She knows what events she wants to go after. She doesn't sit in her office and wait for the phone to ring, in other words. She's proactive. And that way she has control over the message, over the product, over the events. And what a way to do business. I'm also doing a second term. I did it maybe 10 years ago as president of Main Street Wellington. And I was one of the founding persons on that, of people in Wellington that started it. And we're lucky to have a really nice model program in Wellington with Main Street. And with our alliance to Visit Lorain County, it just helps our marketing of our Main Street community and what our little town of Wellington, the little restaurants, the family-owned businesses, what we have to offer, the parks, all of it. It makes it really attractive and helps us get our word out there. So thank you, Barbara. And thank you for letting me have a few moments today.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our presentation. Thank you for letting us have the time
Awesome
to
job.
come and
Really
and
good
do the
job.
presentation. Thank you.
Proud of you.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator. Wine. That's what
What's that?
He said
Well,
wine.
Yeah, it's been well, yeah, the wine tour would be nice right now. This is the first time we've ever been asked to attend something that had, alcohol involved with it and some wine. So we've had all kinds of other offers, but nothing so generous. Each commissioner has, over the past week, discussed with me the issue of disability transportation services to veterans. Each of you have expressed some concern with information that was presented that indicated that you, in your official capacity, acted to eliminate or restrict those services, and have asked me and council to both look into that issue. And we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have on that. So I'm afraid I just bring it up here rather than all three of you maybe wanting to bring it up individually. Is there anything you want to discuss on that?
Well, let's just go through the letter, I think.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There was a letter that was sent out saying that the commissioners stopped service for veterans needing to get to certain appointments, and that is absolutely not the case. And it had to do with the contract that was submitted for approval that was not bid. And that the fact that we were not able to approve that contract because it was not bid, he blamed us for eliminating that service.
We received 4 pieces of action.
Right.
One of those being, actually 2 of them relating to this issue. One of them being a bill that was due to Life Care, which we paid, we acted upon. A second being an open PO for $90,000, which had no supporting documentation attached to it. So that immediately became an issue of concern for the supporting documentation, so it wasn't able to be acted upon. We either A, needed to have the supporting documentation, which would include, the information with regard to bidding or not, or why it was exempt from bidding. Because sometimes there's information attached that gives a clear line of sight to why it was an exempted item, and then we could have acted upon it this week if that information had been presented. So it was a very simple case. It was a very simple procedure to go through, and we routinely go through that with many departments. It's not unusual. So I don't think that anything you did canceled any service anywhere.
And in the case if there was something wrong, that service would have ended, or if we do have to rebid out, as the prosecutor has been saying we're going to have to do, we wouldn't stop it cold anyway until we finish the bidding process and award it to a new vendor. We've never stopped anything in that case when there was a question.
Again, we did not alert anybody to any service discontinuations, nor say that the service was discontinued. But the $90,000 open purchase order needed the clarification of whether it met the requirements of a properly bid service. Well, you were distressed because you read in the newspaper that it was said that it had. And that we held it up, but it had been properly bid. Right now, unless council says otherwise, and I talked to him this morning, it hasn't been bid, and it was not bid.
And he said it was.
Well, it was printed in the newspaper, said it was, and I'll leave that to council to speak to.
Well, just, sometimes people use the terminology bid without, in its generic form as opposed to the very specific governmental procedure that we have to use to. So I think the use of the word bid was not anything intentionally misstated. But at this point in time, in order to reinstitute that program, we do have to go through a formal bidding process.
Well, even if there wasn't, Mr. Williams asked Mr. Bates at the meeting on Wednesday, is this going to create any problems, and is this okay with him? And he said yes, that it was okay, it wasn't going to create any problems. So then 2 days later, it's in the newspaper that the commissioner stopped service, which
And our phones are ringing off the hook besides
tons of
that.
phone calls, why did you stop the service? And at first, I didn't even know what he was talking about until I got more information.
Well, I didn't know what you were talking about when you were calling me either and asking me what I did, because you thought I had done something on your behalf. And
You know better.
I do. The scrutinizing of those purchase orders is routine, as is anything that comes to us from all the departments. We're not completely perfect, and we've discovered some faults and things over time, but this was not an unusual issue what we did.
That's what we do. I mean, this is our job.
And you've asked me to explain it, and I have here. The service still needs to be bid. We're able to work with the agency if they want to facilitate getting that done. You were going to say something, Commissioner?
I said good luck.
Well, again, we do have the capabilities. We did work with them on the application for NOACR. In fact, it came back to my office for additional work. Teresa was doing some additional work on it, so was our other staff members, so we can get it out.
I did receive Lori's signature on the one, but I have not received the affidavits from him, as he indicated he would send over today, so
Okay.
we're still waiting.
But we're still working on it. We have some talent and capability to do that, as well as prepare bid specs and work on some of these purchasing issues together. But we have to have a clear understanding And I think, sending out a letter telling them that the commissioners canceled some services is not the way to conduct that relationship.
I would say pretty irresponsible at that point myself, when it's our normal course of business of supporting documents were there, and he would have responded to Mr. Williams asking if it was bid or not, then we would have known at that point what was going on. We'd be a week farther ahead of the game instead of researching materials that says it wasn't.
Can I suggest that we deal with the board, the commissioner, or the Veterans Board? Would you guys be willing to sit down with us? And
Bob, you're the chair this year, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a question for Bob, not me.
Yeah, be fine. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, Bob, last week.
Were you familiar with the
Ask Bob
letter
to
that
come
went
up,
out?
please. If Bob's gonna- yes,
Yeah, please, thank you.
I was not familiar with that till after the fact, unfortunately. I didn't know that transpired. However, with that being said and with that being written, I did find out probably a month ago, there was some talk about the services being canceled because of the contract being null and void. Since that point in time, I think we had one meeting last week, that was it, but that hasn't been expounded on or elaborated since, so. I need clarification too, just as well as you do on this.
Okay.
So I think it's important that the board gets together and discuss this.
Right.
Yeah. And Bob, I just want to bring up, last week, after the meeting, we had the packet. There was some things that needed to be filled out. Teresa stepped up to help out, and Don did go around to try to get that worked out. Jonette, Mr. Cortez. To get that packet filled out. So we are trying to work with Don. And when he brought up an issue with veterans with wheelchairs, with the buses, we were able to find a vehicle, a minivan with a wheelchair ramp on it, right? Wheelchair accessible.
It's a smaller vehicle, but it is handicapped accessible and does provide a chairlift.
Right. Just to try to help the veterans. So I want the commission to know that we're willing to work with you, but we just got to be upfront on things. And we were talking about the LC, the transit as well.
Well,
some ways that we could possibly create better services for the veterans and also for the residents of the county.
One of the things that has occurred with reductions in transit services is driven the need back to the other agencies. Some of these transit things are like a hot air balloon. You poke it on one side and you think you accomplished something, only to expand it on the other side. So all you've done is displace the need onto somebody else. Clearly, the issue with transportation and the veteran services and mental health services and the development disability services, they've seen a significant increase demand on them to provide transportation services because there's no longer the public transportation system picking up a lot of that ridership, specifically in the dial-a-ride. Now, the dial-a-ride wasn't the best service to begin with because it takes a little bit more time, but it is a point-to-point service, and it was offered out there, and lots of people took advantage of it. Plus, it wasn't a fully paid service. It was more hand-up services. It was at a greatly reduced cost, but you did pay for your fare, but you would have to schedule it, and you may be in a van with some multiple riders going to a geographical area that had 2 or 3 drop-offs or pickups that were centralized so that we could get the maximum leverage out of that resource. With reductions in funding to transit has caused us, A, to lose federal dollars, B, to drive the need more to the agencies, and C, for them to be scrambling for funds, and they don't have the efficiencies, and it's not their fault that they don't have them when they're trying to serve a small community of customers that they're responsible for. And we just don't get the leverage out of those dollars, both on a efficiency level and on a matching level with the federal government. And I think that's why you're seeing some increased need, and the veterans are trying to meet that need through more transportation services.
Well, 20 years ago, we had 3 wars. Now we have 6, so it's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah. So if we could create some type of partnership, work together with the Veterans Commission, I think we might be able to create a solution that's going to benefit the veterans, but also all the residents of the county.
I appreciate that.
And I would just like, a commitment that we can work together and that it just doesn't come out in the newspapers where it starts to send confusion out to people.
Well, that surprised me too, really did.
So,
It makes it very difficult to do our jobs from up here, Bob.
I
We've met
understand.
plenty of times.
So, yeah, I'd be more than willing to meet with the board and discuss this.
okay,
Sure.
Good.
thank
We
you.
really need your help, because we're both trying to do the same thing, and provide as many good services as we can to our veterans. So instead of working against each other, which seems to be the case when, not with you, but with Mr. Bates in particular, we need to work together, not against each other. So.
True. So my understanding at this point in time is that the transportation will continue.
I think you should continue to utilize the service that's there, but we have to get busy on correcting what I'm going to term is not a major deficiency, but it just needs to be done.
Did you say there was a contract?
Yeah, there's a
Do we have
contract that
contract,
exists.
a copy of a contract?
There was a contract, it just the preliminary work to be able to enter into the
Right,
contract
the
wasn't
bidding
done
process
correctly.
wasn't done, but the contract for Life Care is there. Is it expired, and can we work with an expired contract?
We can continue to do these services on a month-to-month basis.
Okay.
Okay, I've already spoken with council on that. That'll continue to service, but we need to get on top of this ASAP
Right.
and get it out and within a reasonable time, correct the deficiency, but we shouldn't stop services.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thanks.
So if you could get that out to the veterans organizations as quick as that other message got out there, we'd really appreciate it.
I'm going straight to the office.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's been a long morning.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have any additional to say other than to thank you for considering that work with the SEDS. I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to bring some federal dollars here and leverage them in Lorraine County. Remember, they're asking for $4 million, but anything in between there would be nice, and that churns 4 or 5 times in our community. So it really does add economic incentive to provide at least some jobs for a period of time.
Mr. Ennis, Assistant County Prosecutor.
Commissioners, I have one matter of pending court action that I need to discuss with the commissioners in executive session.
Commissioners report.
Well, this morning, when I opened the meeting, I had the dog, so I didn't have a chance, but I wanted to have a moment of silence for the children and families of those in Chardon, the school where the shootings had taken place. If you could just take a second to say a prayer or just have good thoughts for those families and friends. Thank you. What a tragedy that was. As far as our board correspondence, on number 10, Mr. Cortez, I see that Don left. He probably had a meeting. But the City of Lorraine wants to enter into a creation of the County Land Rehabilitation Corporation, and I believe that would be the land bank.
Yes.
And I know the City of Elyria is working on that as well. So is there something that the county needs to do in order to go forward with that? Because I'm very excited about the land bank opportunity.
I see Ted's a little,
Yeah.
he's twitching, so if he
You
wants
gonna
to jump
jump out
on
of
it
your chair?
first.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to jump out of the chair.
Okay.
Just, we've got to come to agreement with the county treasurer, because the land bank goes to the county treasurer. Then we have to set up a board to whatever degree, and who's going to operate it. The treasurer has stated that he does not have the personnel to operate a county land bank, and currently we do not have enough funds to fund it properly like other counties.
I'm looking at a few options. As now with Lorraine giving an affirmative nod towards it, if we get the affirmative nod from Elyria, I will develop a program and do all of the infrastructure things with our staff that need to be done for your review to see if you like how we're proposing to get the job done. But we will get the job done.
Well, what we have to do, though, is work with the treasurer on some changes in the fee structure.
Correct.
For delinquent real estate taxes.
All of that will be given to you in various options under some plans.
Don't
that-
kill yourself. This isn't something new. We're not
I know.
making something
No,
new.
we're
There
not going
are-
to reinvent the wheel.
Please.
But there are different methodologies that can be
Correct.
applied. and different staffing schemes that can be deployed, at least initially, until we gain some revenue to support this.
Well, my early thought was our county port authority, because
Exactly.
it's being done in other areas, for example, and
I'm
it's
spe-
convenient and everybody will participate.
I'm specifically looking at the Port Authority because we do have some small revenue streams that I believe we can utilize until we develop our own revenue stream to be able to support this activity. So we will have you some documents and a plan to look over and make some changes as you deem necessary so that we can get this thing moving. I really didn't want to put a lot of energy in it until we saw forward momentum from both cities, but we got one.
Mhm.
I think that Elyria will fall in line
I was
pretty
hoping
quickly.
Larry was going to do theirs the other night, is what I was given information to, but apparently it wasn't, because we haven't been forwarding any information as of yet.
We'll have information to you within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then you can decide where you want to go from there.
Right.
Well, I know for a fact, I do want to be on that board. I believe my experiences being a realtor and doing the sales reviews for Lorraine County for all those years makes me a great candidate for that position, so I definitely want to do that. Just make sure everybody gets out and votes on Tuesday. By the time we come back here next week, we'll know who our winners of the primary will be, so
Should they vote for you?
yes, they should vote for me. Vote early, vote often. Vote for me. Just to break
I
down.
did it for you.
Thank
You-
you.
If I could, Lori, I would vote for you, but.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Tom declares a Democrat next Tuesday morning. It's simple enough.
Wait a minute,
Not a hard
wait a minute.
process in
Wait a
this
minute.
country.
Let me help Tom.
We all have
Tom-
the right to vote.
Tom, you can correct an ongoing mistake by voting for her.
You won't be the only one switching parties to vote for me on Tuesday, so. Wednesday, after we left here last week, we had the CHIPS Candidates Night, and that was a full house. It was packed with people, and it was a really good event. Thursday, we had the State of the City, Lorraine State of the City address, and Chase did a fantastic job. He's going to do good things in Lorraine, I believe. And then we had a candidates night in Elyria at the Arts Center. Man, that was the first time I was ever in there, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful building. Wasn't it gorgeous?
Yep.
Then the Young Dems had a event on Saturday, which, I have a granddaughter who was born on September 11th, and because of this campaign, I haven't seen her as much as I'd like to, so I actually took her with me to the event, and she was probably the hit of the whole night. She was awesome. And then Sunday, we had a brunch at Jackalopes, and I took my grandson with me there, so I make sure they both got out with me. And then Goodwill, my monthly Goodwill board meeting was Monday afternoon, and they're doing really good things as usual, and still looking for a van or something, but they also are part of the same package that you guys sent to NOACA, and hopefully they'll be receiving a van paid 80% by NOACA federal money. And then we had the candidates night in, it was actually in New Russia Township, but it was for Oberlin, and that was very well attended also. What's tonight?
Let me look at my calendar.
I think that's the end of my
No,
report.
you have the Valor Home Spaghetti Dinner. I know you've been
That's
promoting.
Sunday.
That's Sunday.
That's
Yeah.
Sunday.
And
What time
mine-
is that for the Valor Home?
1 o'clock.
And there's another event for the veterans on Saturday night, right?
Oh, yeah. That's at the VFW, correct?
Correct.
Sobering House, right. I seen him at church on Sunday, and he gave me a flyer. Should have brought that with me. A lot of spaghetti.
Lot
I
of
love
spaghetti.
spaghetti. Thank
Yeah.
goodness I love spaghetti. And breakfast.
You
What
just
don't you
love
like?
food. You just
I
love
just
food.
like food, and it's past lunch. I'm really hungry.
Everything Lori did, based that's in your report, I'm saying everything Lori did, except the Goodwill meeting. I had a couple others besides that, but also congratulations to my wife's grandmother. She was named Miss Anchor Lodge Skilled Nursing Division
how
Beauty Pageant winner last night,
Aw.
2012. 93 years old, Kathleen Burgess, congratulations. And while I was there, I ran into my ex-wife's grandmother. So, and she won it 4 years ago, I guess. So.
Okay.
They didn't try to enter you, did they?
No. But that's it's
They're
been a
much
very
better
busy
looking
week.
than he is.
Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Williams?
You
Wow.
covered it.
Actually, I think we covered most of it in the meeting with the Visitors Bureau.
Yeah.
was great to go out to Oberlin actually and see all the bicycles being ridden in the snow. So that was interesting, but great bike shop out there. I was a little surprised. My daughter seen a bike. It was almost $7,000.
Oh, yeah.
So
Those professional bikes get way up there.
yeah, I guess I'll stick with my Kmart version for $88.
That's on my list of things to do this summer, is take that bike trail all the way from the steel mill, you know, take the whole route.
Sheffley
Where's it?
Gardens.
Yeah.
I think it ends in Sheffley Gardens.
Yeah.
I'll meet you in the
On
middle with
Green
the
Road.
oxygen bottle for you.
Well, let me know. I'll come with the video camera. We'll put it on YouTube. But I sent this out to email. Dave Yost, the auditor of the state, came back, said we did get the funds for the LEAP program. I'll get a resolution together and get that over to you next week to
Then
take a
we'll have
look at.
discussion at that point, because
Yeah.
I got all kinds. I have spent, since you sent that and sent me the PowerPoint and everything, I just, some dialogue back. The only county they've done so far under this new gig countywide is Butler County, and I've got all the results. And I was gonna give it to you, a copy of it. I don't know
Okay.
if you went through the executive summary, but let me find page 16. And I don't know how much this is going to cost us or how many departments you're looking at doing under commissioners. But basically, the summary of performance audit recommendations for Butler County, which is larger than us. Here's their audit recommendations. Reduce county health insurance costs through increased employee contributions, $694,000. I believe we did that already, Mr. Cordez?
Pardon me, Commissioner, I was looking at something else.
We already reduced our county health insurance costs by raising county employees' costs up.
We
I was going to send this to you, I mean, not to interrupt your answer, but to see what our costs were since we've been raising.
We put on a 10% participant share, and we also have co-pays within the plan. We have an 80-20 plan up to specific catastrophic amounts, and we have a 10% premium sharing amount in our plan.
Then they also had considered disbanding the record center and outsourced document management functions, a $275,000 impact. I'm going to send this over to you to see.
A year?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's by year, it's budget numbers. And then consider replacing direct recording electronic voting machines with optical scan machines. They said a savings of $905,000. And we wouldn't be quite as high because we don't have near as many
Right.
population. So I don't know who's got to buy the optical machines versus the machines we're using now. If we get that through the
Yeah,
Secretary of
what I was
State's
looking
office.
at doing is trying to actually bring them in to do another presentation to answer
Yeah,
the
they
questions.
answer these questions, 'cause this
Right.
is the only county audit that they've done in the
Right.
state for a county. And then they had reduced poll working training costs, which I know our Board of Elections did. They saved $10,000 or $12,000 on that alone. And then implement a countywide energy conservation program specifically targeted at county facilities and workspace. I know we've
Did
already
that.
done that, and we've also made our goals this year, correct? I think that was with Karen Davis I met with yesterday. So, and then implement fuel conservation incentive programs. I don't know if we've done that, but I've got a copy of this if you want it. I took
Yeah.
the summary. I tried to read all 239 pages, but I started getting really bored, so I took the top 16.
Okay. Well, the good thing is if they come back and they tell us that everything's been done and there's no cost savings, there's no cost. So,
Yeah, they can always find what, my concern is where they're going to look at versus that. So maybe we can
Right.
pick departments we want to look at versus the broader, because after 239 pages, if you read through it, it
Right.
gives breakdowns all the way through, and I kind of threw me off on how they're doing these things, so.
and, let's see.
But when you send me something, I definitely jump on it, Tom. I want to
Yep.
make sure I cover all my bases.
And then the last thing I did attend the Valor House meeting. It was interesting. Came up with a couple different views from individuals, and one thing they were looking for is actually donations and ways to actually store them, a secure location. One thing I thought was possibly the old DIY building that we have over by solid waste.
Donations of what?
They get donations, the Veteran Services, they're looking for a secure facility to put it.
Valor Home, you mean?
The Valor Home.
What about our JCPenney building, Mr. Cordez? Can we hold stuff in there, it's secure for them?
Certainly can. I'd be happy to do so. We have a lot of
Like
square.
clothing and...
Oh,
We have a lot of
I'm
square-
thinking donations money. I'm going, what are we getting?
No,
for
no, no,
secure
no, no, no,
facility?
no,
So I
actual-
asked it again, donations?
The only,
Yeah.
Okay.
the only thing I would, we have plenty of space, it's secure space, it's clean,
not big enough.
Yeah.
But-
It's clean space. The only issue would be the logistics of all the way from downtown Lorraine all the way over
Right.
to the other side of Elyria. I don't know if they logistically have the transports to be able to handle that, but we certainly have plenty of room. It's underutilized, and we can grant it to them at no cost to store items there. So I think it's a matter of some of the logistics. Although I'm surprised at St. Joe's with all the space available there that they.
Maybe it's
Well, I
not
was going to
secure.
say, if someone could put a phone call into Kathy Spitzer owns the old Board of Elections building on 22nd and Broadway. which
I
would
can
be
call Kathy.
closed.
She's always been a great partner.
Yeah, I forgot Kathy's last name. I've known her forever.
Schuster.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kathy's worked with us on many issues like that. I'll take care of
Facility's
it.
right the other side. I don't know what's in that building anymore, but I mean, be secure, I mean, locked down.
I don't
It's right
know.
there.
Let me give her a call, and I'll make contact with her by day's end. That's good.
Okay.
That's
And it's
actually a good
close enough,
suggestion.
Thomas,
Yeah,
right
no,
there,
it was
22nd centrally
something that
located.
came up in the meeting,
Mhm.
and they were looking for different locations, but they had to be secure, so.
They're
I
looking
told 'em
for,
that-
do you have a list of the things that they're looking for? They're looking for like clothing and bedding, and I know they are purchasing beds, the Amish are making them like real wood
Yeah.
beds, things like that, dressers, real
Yeah.
wood. So, but toiletries, toothbrushes, toothpaste, all kinds of things, whatever a person may need. So if you don't know where to send that, and you don't know where Valor Home is or who to contact, you can contact any of us and we'll get that information to you.
Yeah, I know the UAW donated $14,000 worth of clothing to them,
Mhm.
so.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Okay,
Anything
end of
else?
my report.
Okay.
Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anybody wishing to address the board?
There's
Everybody
nobody
left.
left.
Everybody left us.
Yeah, Brad's got a comment. No?
No? Seeing none, I move we go into executive session as outlined by both the administrator and the assistant county prosecutor.
I second that.
Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorraine County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.